Dark is not clean, dark is not pretty. So everybody wants to change that narrative.
It's easier said than done.
Yes.
You're a fair person talking
Yeah.
to me. What do you know about what I feel in my skin? It's great to say that accept yourself and all of that.
Yeah. What's not spoken about as much, I believe, it's the interconnection between your external appearance and your inner well-being.
All we need is validation from the people who love us the most, and then you think somewhere that just by fixing something, I'm going to get that validation.
For somebody who's just an onlooker, what is he dealing with? Acne, there's so many big problems in the world.
Right.
But to that one person, that's his physical being. That's affecting everything in his life.
Google will say that one of these medicines may give you erectile dysfunction. And I'm like, so have hair and just have hair?
Does graceful aging mean a face full of wrinkles? Does graceful aging mean a head that's bald? Or does it mean accepting, okay, just letting yourself go down? Graceful aging is
I have a confession to make. This hair that you see is not the way it used to be. That's a great rhyme, by the way. But that's the truth. It wasn't like that. There was a time where it was receding, and I just stopped meeting people because of that. And then one day, I met my next guest, Jyoti, and she literally changed my life. And that's why, Jyoti, I decided to speak with you on the episode. And many people ask me, how does aesthetic dermatology fit into Soul Safar? And I said that's because it's about mental health. What you're doing is you're healing people in a different way, of course, physically, but also emotionally, and it extends into spiritually to truly be themselves. And that's why I have you here. Thank you so much. Welcome to Soul Safar with Bhaav, and thank you for agreeing to come and sit here and look so pretty and speak with me.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for this opportunity that we can talk about this today. Something that's not spoken about all the time, and it feels great to be here. Thank you.
So let's start with the most basic question that anybody would want to know. What is aesthetic dermatology?
What we do basically in aesthetic dermatology as a blanket statement is we take care of your skin, your hair and nails, your physical well-being. Right? What's not spoken about as much, I believe, it's the interconnection between your external appearance and your inner well-being.
Right.
So like you rightly said, it's like how you were feeling. We fix something on the outside and fix something on the inside for you.
Correct.
So that's how it works.
I've realized with certain people, and I actually was falling prey to that myself in my head, that when you fix one thing on the outside and that fixes something on the inside, you want to keep going for that dopamine hit. You want to do something else, something else, something else, and it's a slippery slope. The great thing about you is when I came back to you once and I said, I want collagen threads, you literally told me, get out of my clinic. Just get out. That's so different about you because you knew where to stop me. And that's also because what I think what's different about you, because I've been to other people, is that you took the time to sit down with me and chat with me about where I am in my life, emotionally and mentally. And I want you to speak about that process of yours because for me, that's so unique to you.
See, a lot of times what happens, Bhaav, is one needs to understand what is the motivation for you to do a certain procedure, right? And I will not understand it unless I know where are you coming from.
Right.
So it's very important for me to understand where my patient is in his life, what does he do as a professional, what is it that's bothering him, because so many times it's like somebody just walks into your room because they've heard about you from somebody and they'll be like, okay doc, what is it that you think I should do?
Right.
But I always choose to show the mirror to my patient and I tell them, okay, what is it that you look at and you don't like? Right? There's a lot that could be fixed, but does it need fixing?
Right.
Right? If at all there is something that is not bothering you, I don't believe in generating those insecurities. I don't want to fuel those insecurities. And if at all, see, we've all heard about, I was reading this book called Babi Sabi, we've heard about this concept of life in imperfection. Life is imperfect in itself, and that's the beauty of life, right?
Right.
We do not have to match the dimensions everywhere. Everything does not have to be in proportions. Two sides of your face are cousins and not twins. So, this is something you only are able to explain to a patient after you've built a certain amount of trust. You have that relationship where you can openly speak to each other.
Right.
You hear them out, understand where they're coming from, explain scientifically without losing the fact that you are a doctor at the end of the day. Your patient's safety has to be your priority. And what is it that you can do? What is it that you should do? And what is it that can probably be delayed?
Right.
Right? Because, like you said, it is a slippery slope. And there's a very fine line between looking perfect, wanting to look good, and being dysmorphic about your body.
Correct.
So that's where your doctor comes in.
Right.
And not just me, any good doctor that you'd go to probably would like to spend some time with you, understand where you're coming from, and then take you from there.
Right. What is the connection that you see between mental health and aesthetic dermatology really?
There's a huge connection now. Social media does not make life easy for you. Things are not as forgiving. Each and every one of us wants to look a certain way. Like there's a AI generated image of you that you'd want to match up to, right?
Right.
So that's where you have to tell people that it's okay to embrace who you are.
Right.
Self-love is very important. Do not focus on the proportions. Do not focus on the right nose, the right lip, the right chin, a high cheekbone.
Right.
Focus on skincare.
Right.
Focus on your canvas. Healthy skin at the end of the day is what is going to keep you going, right? When you wake up in the morning and you feel fresh about your face, that's what is a win for me, right? It's like having those jetting lips probably is not. You want to look perfect in one given picture, but that is not going to make you look pretty every one day of your life. And when you look at yourself in the mirror, you're looking at yourself in a 2D.
Right.
When everybody else is looking at you, there's a three-dimensional picture that they're looking at.
Right.
So that is when you say, oh, she looks so done up. He looks so done up. What is it that he's done? Any time that someone comes to you and say, okay, what is it that he's done? That's not a good job.
Right.
Everybody is doing something these days. Some people like you would love to talk about it, share their story because it is motivating for the others. And there are a lot for their own given personal reasons would like to keep it discreet.
Right.
But if it is in your face, it's not done well.
Right.
Because the concept is less is more. We all need tweakments.
Yeah.
We don't need to chase perfection.
And that's the perfect answer. I want to know what are the different insecurities that people come with that are really holding them back in life?
Oh my God, it's varied. It's like there are no two patients who are alike.
Right.
The whole idea is sometimes you don't even need a certain procedure.
Right.
Some people just need to be spoken to. There is a history to their scars. There is a certain journey that they've been through. They have battled acne all of their teenage and now they're left with these scars and they've been told, they've tried so many things, they've been told that it's not going to go. So many times you just need to sit them down, you need to understand, okay, you've suffered for 10 years and I see you. It's like we recognize that you've been through pain, being compassionate in that moment, creating that safe space for someone where they can let down their inhibitions and be like, okay, it may just look like acne to you, but I am suffering. I've had like a very young boy come to me with like a stack of prescription papers, so frustrated, so full of aggression, just tear them up and throw them in the bin. And be like, you're the last person that I'm coming to, is there anything you can do for me? And that kid has been on antidepressants, he's been on anti-anxiety medications. For somebody who's just an onlooker, what is he dealing with? Acne, there's so many big problems in the world.
Right.
But to that one person, that's his physical being.
Yeah.
That's affecting everything in his life. He's not being friends with anyone, he is not socializing, he is not going out for family functions, he's missing everything.
Right.
And these are his growing up years.
Right.
He's not going out to play, he loves to play, but he's not going out to play because he feels his acne is so bad and plus it's painful. Right? And so there are grades, even for something as basic as acne. Starting with blackheads and whiteheads, which is like grade 1 acne, you go for a regular salon cleanup. But the moment it becomes pustules and they are painful and they're on your face, they're on your back, I mean, it can be troublesome, right?
Right.
Somebody who's just had eczema on their legs probably. Or you can't wear a short dress because your legs have eczema. People think it's contagious, though it's not. But the moment you look at somebody and you're like, okay, what it is, what did you get? Is that fungal infection? How did you get it? You know, for all you know.
Right.
So depending on what you're suffering from, what you're dealing with, where you're coming from, and how does it affect you mentally and physically.
Right.
So the mindset changes according to that, and so does the consultation. And sometimes, my manager is like, Doc, I don't know what to tell the next person because I don't know how long are you going to take. I thought this was a basic consult. She's just coming for like a rash.
Right.
And then it goes on for an hour, and only to realize, okay, she's got rashes all over her body, and that she's been concealing it with clothes. And that's when she agrees to, get herself examined. She's like, I've done everything in the world, but is it? You're an aesthetic dermatologist. Is this something that you can do about it?
Right.
And and then you treat them, and life changes.
Of course, you're great at what you do, and that's why people come to you and speak with you. But it's so sad that for somebody to say, I see you, I need to look at a doctor who's not even part of my ecosystem, who's not my friend, who's not my family, who's not my lover. I need to arrive at the doctor, actually, going through so many different doctors, and for somebody to just say to you, I see you. And since you said you're a clinical psychologist as well, why do you think that is? Why is it that we can't look at the people we love the most and just accept them for who they are and just tell them, I see you?
See, again, not everybody gives you the gift of time. It's the gift of time. At the end of the day, all that we are looking for is time and validation.
Right.
I do a lot of mirror work with my patients, where I tell them, okay, you know what, just go home, look at yourself. So many times they will just not even look at me in the eye.
Right.
And it takes me like 20 minutes of yapping with them and going around, okay, just look at me and tell me what your problem is. Because they'll be just looking away, looking here and there, and like a boy wanting to get hair reduction for the body.
Right.
It's just as simple as that, but not being able to say it. While there's one boy who's just walking very comfortably with his family and being like, okay, I want a full body hair reduction.
And why do you think that is? Why do you think boys can't say that to you? It's a simple statement.
Because, again, we're not as openly gender neutral as we should be. Okay. Not every place feels like is going to be as welcoming. People fear judgment.
Right.
So, and if you're not accepted in your own household, you don't expect it outside as well. So you feel, okay, I cannot tell my mother, but probably let's try. Maybe the doctor understands.
Wow. So this is the huge hole
Absolutely.
that we are trying to address here. More than anything else, this is the crux of why I want to speak to you, because this, like you said, all we need is validation from the people who love us the most, and then you think somewhere that just by fixing something, I'm going to get that validation. And do you think that happens?
Not in all the cases. Not in all the cases. So that's what I say. That is why spending enough time is paramount.
Right.
Sometimes you need to tell them, go back. Because it's a wild goose chase. Every time you're going to put money into it, it's this temporary dopamine kick that you're going to get out of it. You don't look ugly.
Right.
Right? There is nothing wrong with you. It's only a certain thing that is engraved into your head, it's hardwired into your system where, okay, I do this is when I can go for a social commitment.
Right.
The fact is, you can just very well walk out. You are pretty. Acknowledge yourself, love yourself, like the way you look at yourself, and then come to me for that little bit of fixing.
Right.
If at all you're only looking at me for every little bit, you fix and then go out, I think that's not the right thing. And that's where I say no, I say shut up and go.
Yeah, like you told me. There was a time where you would look at only a certain age group of people and see that they've gotten some work done on their face. I'm right now only talking about the face, we'll come to the body later. Yeah. But now I see teenagers who've gotten so much. You can see them, and I'm just like, you're a teenager. Maybe your features haven't even developed completely, and you've still gotten work done. Why do you think? And it's very scary for me. And why do you think this is happening? Why are more and more teenagers going to get work done?
Again, I would say the culprit here is social media. You see it, you get influenced, the influencer culture.
Right.
That's how you get influenced.
Right.
You see it and you feel like, okay, X person has gotten it, she's my age, why can't I get it?
Mm.
Then you bully your parents into it, you harrow them, probably you reach a certain therapist, so usually a trained doctor would always decline.
Right.
But you reach certain position or you reach certain place where you be like, okay, just do it. You give the money and then you get it done. That's how life works, right?
Right.
And that is not the right practice. I detest it myself. I always say that you have to wait a certain age. Like, if at all, I would say, okay, you are an aspiring actor, you are an aspiring actress, you want to look a certain way for the camera, you have a receding hairline, you have a short chin, probably you need a little profile fixing, be my guest.
Right.
Right? That can be a game changer because that's how you will face the camera for the first time.
Right.
But if your life does not depend upon it, please wait.
Right.
Please wait. It's like we all do not need to look the same.
I don't want to place blame on social media. I'm saying we know what the culprit is. Now I am pivoting towards what can be done, what can be changed in my head. Because you deal with so many people, if there are 3 things that you can tell people, give them tips about how to just accept themselves or how not to find the quickest escape route and go to a dermat or an aesthetic person, what are the 3 tips you'd give them?
I would say awareness is the key, right? Read up. We all read all the time, but read the right things.
Right.
Right? So it's like don't be in a rush to fix things. Do your skincare right. Start early and less is more. Right? And if at all there's like one product, if you ask me, that you get started on, earliest on and till the last day, it's your sunscreen.
Right.
I keep yapping about it all the time.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that you start as early on as you can. And that's something which is non-negotiable.
Interestingly, there's also a song by Baz Luhrmann which I think everybody should hear. It's called Sunscreen. Please hear it. It will not only help you in your daily life, there's something in there that will help you even with your mental health. Please hear Sunscreen by Baz Luhrmann.
Yeah, there was a time, when we started, when I started practicing aesthetic medicine, over a decade ago, and I wanted to get a website for myself, and I was obviously a newbie beginner. And I told them, I want the song to play in the background. Like, hello, aren't you asking for too much? You want a song to play in the background of your website? I was like, yeah, I want this one.
But it's
song.
apt. That song is apt.
Yes, it is.
I also call certain things your raw materials.
Yes.
Certain things you're born with. And sometimes people struggle with that the most. Like, for example, I know somebody who has a slightly, I don't want to use the word, I'm looking for a different word, not such a fair skin tone. Okay? And that person, even before stepping out for a meal, is going to apply makeup. And that's a huge, that goes into mental health. Like, for example, I have sometimes, before we go to meet friends, they're like, oh, no, 1 second, friends can't come home or I can't go there, I need my makeup on. When it goes beyond vanity, you realize we are in the realm of mental health. There's a huge sector of people who feel like that. And I'm sure you faced cases like these. Do you have any experiences like these to share and any tips for them? Because you're also a clinical psychologist.
Yeah. So fairness is an obsession, especially in our country. Each one wants to be fairer, right? There is no one who's going to be very happy with their complexion. There are very few, like a handful of people who walk into your clinic and be like, okay, I like the way I look.
Right.
Right? Everybody wants to be fairer.
Right.
I would say we need to change the way we look at it.
Right.
We need to make it more about an even skin. We want to make it about even skin tone, healthy skin, softer skin, and you want to make it about acne-free skin, pigmentation-free skin. You want to be sun damage-free rather than being just fair.
Right.
Actually, the Indian skin is one of the best skin type to have. We've got just the right amount of pigment which saves us from cancer. We've got just the right amount of thickness that keeps us soft and plump and looking young for a long period of time. If you see, like a white skin creeps up literally by the age of 40, 50.
Right.
Because they lack melanin. We don't understand what it's doing to us because that's what is keeping us looking the way we're looking. We tend to age more with pigmentation than lines and wrinkles,
Right.
right? But again, this obsession is engraved into our soul deep down, growing up in the Indian society. If you're dark, you're not pretty,
Yes.
right? All the, I don't want to take names, but you know how our ads would go and how the percept of those ads would be, and how you would show a dark person and then a light person. You show that as a journey,
Right.
right? So that is what is being fed to us.
Right.
If that is a narrative that is being given to us ever since I remember, like all these almost 4 decades of my growing up, I mean, that's the thought that we've lived with.
Right.
Dark is not clean, dark is not pretty. So everybody wants to change that narrative. So you want to be pretty. It's basically, it's like you're fat and you want to be thin. Like you said, your friend would not want to go out without makeup. It's like somebody who's fat would constantly want to wear a body shaper and then move out. They would want to wear those garments, that make them look a certain way. They would not want to be seen in their comfortable clothes that they'd be at home. They want to wear flowy clothes and they want to look comfortable because that's body image, right?
Right.
All the whites are dying for a tan. They're paying for a tan. It's
Right.
like, by convention, man is a fool. He wants it hot when it is cool. He wants it cool when it is hot, always wanting what is not.
Right.
That was something I read as a child and it just stuck with
Stuck.
me. I internalized it so much that, it would keep cropping up every time, and that's what I tell them. As if the fair people are not happy, they, every time we go out as an international speaker, they look at our skin type and they're so happy.
Right.
There's something about our skin that gives them a kick.
Right.
Similarly, when we look at someone who's fairer than us, we look up to them.
Right.
Right? That's what we've grown up with. But right now, we have the means. We have the means and we have the ways where we can talk. We can talk out aloud to a lot of people and address this.
Right.
Not make everything fair and something.
Right.
Right? Because fair is not always lovely and fair is not always handsome.
Right.
Right? So we as a community, we as a fraternity need to be more united on that front, that if I am refusing something and you go to some ex-person and get it done by them, that practice has to be detested also.
Right.
In the long run, you are generating a population of insecure, healthy young individuals,
Right.
not happy in their own skin.
Can I play the devil's advocate here? If I was sitting in the chair opposite you and you'd say that to me, I'd say it's easier said than done.
Yes.
You're a fair person talking
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah.
What do you know about what I feel in my skin? It's great to say that, accept yourself and all of that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I feel like that some of the things we say are so easy to just say,
See,
but
again,
what would you do if you were faced with this sort of resistance?
is why I say, Bhaav, here is where spending time comes into the picture. This isn't the first thing that you go on head on in a conversation with someone.
Right.
You have to develop that trust. You have to give them that safety. You have to tell them, you have to understand where they're coming from, acknowledge them, and then tell them why you're saying what you're saying.
Correct.
You're not just saying it because you're not going through it. You're also saying it because you see it on a daily basis. You're also coming from a place of science. You're also coming from a place of experience, and more so from safety.
Right.
Right? You are showing them something they cannot see. Right? And for that, they have to trust you.
Right.
I had a girl who came to me many, many years ago in my practice when I did not even have my clinic. I was practicing out of a polyclinic. And a young girl, all of 30, came to me with very bad acne. She's come with her mother. She breaks down. A super intelligent, double graduate. She's like done her post-graduation. She's a teacher. And she's like, my students are scared to come to me now for the way I look. Because she had a lot of acne. Let's give it to her, She
Right.
was suffering.
Right.
She's like, I've been to this ex-doctor and he's like, you're 30 now, abhi sundar dikh ke kya karna hai?
Wow.
And she was heartbroken to a level. She's like, you're 30, you're unmarried, and what are you trying to achieve? So, this is it, your hormonal imbalance hai, and iske saath aisa hi hota hai. Probably some old time, I mean, with all due respect to everyone, but somebody who, did not have enough time to give to that person. I had to handhold her through it. It was my initial years also, so it was a challenge case for me because it came down like, it was like a hand-me-down. Everybody had tried their own little thing with her, but nobody had actually given her the gift of time. Spend that little time to understand what is going wrong with her lifestyle.
Right.
Because she was so stressed because of her skin. Her hormones were so jetty.
Right.
So, you had to tell her that, okay, give me these 3 months of your life.
Mm.
I need you to stay with me in it, expecting nothing is going to change.
Right.
Preparing herself for the worst. And as she saw the changes going along, she was more motivated. She started exercising, she lost weight, and there was a world of a difference. And she was one of the first before and afters that I put on my social media, where she was like, Doc, I really want you to share my journey with the world.
Right.
Because I wish somebody had told me this so many years ago.
I have to share an experience with you because I went through that personally. There was many years back when I had realized that I was starting to lose hair. I went to a trichologist, and a trichologist is a hair doctor. And I went to a trichologist. I walked into her clinic, and she was combing her hair, okay, looking into the mirror, and they told me outside only she only has 10 minutes for you because she has to go for a shoot. So I was like, okay, great. I'll go in, and I'm waiting in her chair for about 10 minutes. And then she comes and she sits across me and she's like, so what's your problem? So I said, I'm losing hair. I've come to, get it checked. And then she just got up. She came behind me. She touched my scalp a little bit and all of that. And then she came and sat in front of me and started writing a prescription. And turned around the prescription, showed it to me, and the only thing she told me is that don't Google these medicines. So I was like, now the first, when you tell me don't Google the medicines, the minute before I'm outside your door, I'm going to start Googling them. So I asked her, I said, why shouldn't I Google them? She said, because Google will say that one of these medicines may give you erectile dysfunction. And I'm like, so have hair and just have hair? I was like, 1 second, who says that to anybody? Why would you even prescribe something like that to me? And then I was like, neither have you sat with me to talk to me, explain to me, understand what's going on. And then you've said something like that to me, and I swear I went home and I just folded that prescription, kept it inside. Now I meet her socially and I just say a polite hello to her, but I'm just like, ma'am was giving me erectile dysfunction. But apart from that, she was just not ready to see me for who I am and acknowledge my struggle, or even then I don't even know if you can help me. I am coming to you for, if I boil it all down, I am coming to you for help. And if that's your attitude to somebody, then it's just like, it's appalling.
That's how understanding what the patient is feeling, what his motivations are, and where is he going back to.
Right.
Someone's getting married in 3 months. Should I be doing a transplant for him? The answer is no.
Because the hair's not going to grow out.
Now you know.
Yeah, now I know.
Now you know, because you're going to go through a shedding phase and you're going to hate me for it.
Right.
That's why I remember I told you, do not get too attached to your hairline.
Yes.
You are going to probably lose it initially, and then it's going to grow back, which was initially very hard for you to believe. And you took a holiday and you just went off.
Yes. But in there, when you told me don't get attached to your hairline, there was a much larger lesson for me. Don't get attached. Okay? Attachment to just anything, physical or non-physical, or things or people. I started from there. And then it was almost like, because the most difficult thing is to not get attached to anything that's yours.
Your own. Yeah.
So it's so difficult not to get attached to that hairline. Then it becomes like, oh, I'm not getting attached to it. It becomes easier to practice non-attachment, not detachment, but non-attachment. We've spoken about how skin or your face affects teenagers. We've spoken about how it affects 20-year-olds. We've spoken about how it affects 30-year-olds. We've spoken about how it affects a bride or a groom who's going to get married. There's this friend of mine whose mum got an eye surgery done. Her eye was slightly weaker, and then she got her eye treated. And when she could see herself in the mirror, she looked at herself and she was just like, oh my God, what happened to my face? Because, most women are not okay with, aging when they see wrinkles on their face. Because, again, since childhood, you're conditioned a certain way, and you have spoken about beauty, and we've heard a lot of people say a lot of things about how you should accept yourself the way you are and wear your wrinkles gracefully and all of that. What would you say to women who are slightly older and they see themselves and find it difficult to accept themselves?
See, again, what you do here is understand that we all talk about graceful aging, but what is graceful aging actually? Does graceful aging mean a face full of wrinkles? Does graceful aging mean a head that's bald? Or does it mean accepting, okay, just letting yourself go down? Graceful aging is liking the way you age, right? Aging is a privilege denied to many. You have to love it, but you also have to like the way you look at yourself as you're going through the process, right? That's why we say start early, right? Don't wait till you are 50 to start your anti-aging journey. Age is a number,
Right.
right? You are not chasing a number, you are chasing a feature. If this one thing is bothering you right now and it is fixable, let's do it as soon as we can, rather than postponing it to a time where you will end up spending money, start looking unnatural because the whole world has seen you with lines, wrinkles, and all the hag, right? And then suddenly you choose to go a poker face. You are going to look unnatural, right?
Right.
You want to look your age. You just want to look good for your age.
Right.
Right? The whole idea is I want to look the best version of myself.
Right.
Be your own kind of beautiful. Right? I want to look a pretty 50-year-old. I want to look a good 40-year-old.
Because you're in the business, I want to ask you, why do you think everybody is chasing youth? Everybody's chasing youth. And that affects your mental health because you're never going to have it. You're never going to be able to retain it. That's what it all boils down to.
Youth is such a sublime term here, no, Bhaav? Youth. It's like you're always going to be a little older than what you were yesterday.
Right.
Right? So, I don't think people are chasing youth. People are chasing a certain look. Right? Everybody wants to look a certain way.
Do you think it is a look, Jyoti, or do you think they are chasing that feeling
Probably.
that if I look a certain way, I will attract a certain reaction or attract a certain feeling? Do you think it's that?
It's got a lot to do with that attention-seeking behavior. There's a lot of attention-seeking that's going around, right? You want to be a head turner.
Right.
You want to. Why do people dress a certain way? There are so many people who will just dress to probably mingle in the crowd, and there's going to be a certain set who wants to be noticed.
Right.
Right? So it's again similarly with a lot of people when it comes to their face.
Right.
For the bodies, for that matter, also.
Right.
You hear so much about body surgeries also, and you want to look a certain way in terms of your, like, you want to be recognized from your back.
Yeah.
You get this on social media all the time, recognizes who's this person from the backside.
Right.
Right? Yeah. So it's basically the attention-seeking behavior, the kick that you get out of it, and you just don't want to let go. You don't want to lose the grip. You want to hold on to it so tight, not understanding that there is going to be, aging which is constant, and unless we accept it and we move along with it and start working, accordingly.
Yeah.
Age appropriate, as we call it. You have to be age appropriate, and that's what makes you graceful.
Yeah.
So, not doing procedures is not really a criteria. Being age appropriate and in complete acceptance of your own self and liking the way you look. You should like the way you look.
Right.
At the end of the day, it all boils down to that.
I think it all boils down to self-love.
100%.
All of this boils down to self-love.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, all the episodes that I've shot and people have spoken to, I think everything is just boiling down to self-love. You look at it from the physical perspective, look at it from the mental perspective, look at it from the spiritual perspective. I just now feel sitting here and speaking to so many people that the one main reason that we've come back and we keep coming back is to learn self-love. That's what it seems like.
It's like the be all and all of it. It's like it starts and ends with us.
Yeah, exactly. What advice would you give anybody who's going for any cosmetic procedure from the mental health perspective?
Get into it for the right reasons.
Right.
Get into it for the absolute right reasons, and do not be pushed. Do not have a mob mentality. There is no one size fits all, and everything, something that looks good on your friend is not going to look good on you.
Right.
Just know why you're getting into it and be ready to follow through.
Right. And I also feel that if you're chasing happiness through a procedure, remember you're never going to get it, because there'll be another flaw that will pop up.
Absolutely, like I said, it's a white goose chase.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
there's no end to it. There is never going to be a day where you'll be like, oh my god, I love myself.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So there are some people, you do a little tweakment to them, they'll jump out of their chair, they'll spring out and they'll be like, oh my god, I love what I see. And that's the kick that you also like at the end of the day, because somewhere at your subconscious mind you haven't changed anything about this one person. You've done that little tweakment which you saw, and being intuitive in that time also helps, where okay, this is where I go and this is what I say no to.
Right.
And you do that little bit, they see the change and they're happy about it, is when okay, I'm on the right track.
Right. We always speak best from personal experience. And I'm going to put you in the spot right now, because I'm going to turn the mirror towards you. I've been at a wedding with you, and even when you come here looking so gorgeous, there are so many things I hear you say that, oh, I'm looking like a blob, I don't like taking pictures because I look fat in my pictures. And for somebody who believes so much in mental health, why do you think that is?
That only goes to say that I'm only human and we have no exceptions, and it happens to each one of us. Now that you've seen it so closely, you know that, okay, you may like the way I look, but there are still going to be certain angles that are not so flattering to me. Right? And I am no exception to that. Right. I live in the candy shop. Right. It's not that I could not fix all those things, but there are still certain things I choose to babi sabi.
And what do you do for your mental health then?
I meditate. I feel that travel is my kick. I love traveling, and I love what I do basically. Right. I am absolutely thrilled every morning when I walk into my clinic, when I see my team, when I see my patients. Every day there's a new story unfolding. Then I have old people revisiting. There is so much that we connect upon. There are so many relationships that you make as you go along. Because I am blessed that ways, because I'm not really treating the diseased. Right? What I work in is more like a want than a need. Right? So I don't have a lot of people who come to me who are suffering. So we have so many conversations. We speak about travel, we speak about books, we speak about just about everything. Right. So I think that's what keeps me going. I love what I do, and I like being where I am. It shows when we walk into your clinic, for sure. Thank you. We live in a world of content creation. And I know that when you put yourself out there, you are putting yourself in a very vulnerable position. You attract a lot of hate comments. You attract a lot of good comments. You also attract a lot of hate comments. And some of them are about the way you look. And, it can be really damaging to some people. If you have to give a tip to like a content creator about how to deal with these specific comments about the way you look, should they just directly jump into some sort of cosmetic procedure? What should they do? What tip would you give them? First, don't get affected. It is social media. There are going to be good comments. There are going to be bad comments. It's how you choose to look at it, right? But if at all it is bothering you and it is affecting you at a personal level, seek help. Go to somebody who's going to probably just direct you as to what is it that you're doing wrong. Right. Then you don't necessarily need to do a cosmetic enhancement procedure. Right. Sometimes you need to do a basic chemical peel. Right. Sometimes you need to just do a skin laundry, clean yourself up. You've done that, you know how it is, right? Yeah. It's just like you laugh at me. Why do you call it a skin laundry? Because that's practically what it is. Yeah. I just deep clean you. Right? I just use a jet of oxygen and air and probably clean all your pores and all the makeup that you have, all the grime that there is, and clean you out. Yeah. If you reach out is only when you will know. Another thing that you can do before you start reaching out is you start journaling your problems. There's something about writing, when you start writing your problems out, it all starts to make sense somehow. And then you know that when you reach out to somebody, what exactly do I need to say? Instead of saying 1,000 things, I know there's just the crux of it is what I need to address. I'm glad you said what you said, It's a way, writing down does that to us. No matter how old school, it never gets old.
Yeah, it never
It
gets
never
old.
gets old. You write it down, and so many times while you're writing it down, okay, it's not that big a problem.
Yeah.
Half of it is solved while you're probably just writing
Yeah.
it down, and then you're like, okay, yeah, okay, I'll come back to this if all the others are not answers. Probably that's
Yeah.
when I get to that.
Exactly. And it's a way of helping
Self.
yourself. That's what is self-help. You can't go and I'm sure people there will be a time when you could, or maybe you can still do it. You can't go and ask Chat GPT saying, hey, what are my problems? What do you think I need to solve? You need to know what you cannot solve, what you know doesn't exist.
What the eyes don't,
Yeah.
what the mind doesn't know, the eyes
Yeah,
don't
you
see.
can't solve the unknown. You need to know what you need help for, and that's what all this is about. And I can't thank you enough, Jyoti, for the hair, of course, and for a great life, and for coming and sitting here and sharing your knowledge with so many people, because this is not cosmetic. This is much beyond that. It's about how you're helping people deal with their body, their image, what they see in the mirror, just in their heads. And thank you so much.
I'm
Thank
so
you.
glad we did this. I'm so glad it's out there, and even if it changes one life, I think we're home.
Exactly. It's changed mine. I'm sure it's going to change yours as well. Thank you.
Thank you so
Jyoti.
much. Thank you.
We are going to be back in 2 weeks with yet another episode of Soul Safar with Bhaav. Now healing has a face.